At exactly 3:17 a.m., the screaming started again. A child's voice, crying, begging, sobbing in pain. Footsteps ran across the second floor, doors slammed violently, and from the darkness, something small laughed. But the house was empty. No family, no visitors, no one inside. This is not a story about a haunted house. This is a story about something pretending to be a child. Welcome to the Sally House of Atchison, Kansas. From the outside, the house looks normal, quiet, peaceful, harmless. A small brick home in an ordinary neighborhood, but inside these walls lies one of the most aggressive and violent paranormal cases in American history. Unlike most haunted houses where spirits only appear, this one attacks. The entity haunting the house is known as Sally, believed to be the spirit of a young girl who died here in the early 1900s. According to legend, Sally suffered from severe abdominal pain. A doctor attempted emergency surgery inside the house without proper anesthesia. As the incision was made, the little girl screamed in agony, thrashing, crying as the pain overwhelmed her. She died on the table, confused, terrified, and in unbearable pain. At least that's the story people tell, because many investigators believe something far darker is hiding behind that tale. Psychics who entered the house felt it immediately. The presence did not feel like a child. Its energy felt old, angry, predatory. They said the spirit was using the image of a little girl to gain sympathy, a mask for something much worse. The true horror began in the 1990s when the Pickman family moved in. At first, the activity was subtle. Toys moved on their own. Soft footsteps echoed through empty rooms. A child's laughter late at night. Playful, innocent, almost comforting. But everything changed when the father began sleeping in the basement. One night, he woke up unable to move. A crushing pressure held him down, as if something invisible was sitting on his chest. Small hands pressed into his skin. Then came the pain, a burning, tearing sensation across his stomach. When the lights came on, deep red marks appeared, not scratches, not accidents, carved letters burned into his skin. The words read, "Help me." Doctors confirmed. The wounds appeared overnight. No explanation, no medical cause. They were real. As days passed, the house grew angrier. Objects were thrown, mirrors shattered without warning. The temperature dropped. Suddenly, even in summer, a heavy dresser moved by itself, blocking a doorway as if trapping someone inside. Dark shadows crawled along the walls, stood in corners, watched from doorways. During one attack, the man was shoved violently across the room. No one touched him. Investigators later discovered the basement was not just a basement. It was a portal. Something dark had attached itself to the land long before the house was built. Sally was only a disguise. When the entity was challenged, the air grew heavy, thick, suffocating, oppressive. One psychic collapsed. She said it hated being exposed, that it fed on fear, pain, and suffering. Multiple teams entered the house. They recorded children's voices with no source, low growls on EVP, objects moving on camera, scratches appearing in real time. One investigator was choked. Another ran from the house, screaming, and never returned. Today, the Sally house is privately owned. Some say it is quiet now. Others report nausea, violent mood changes, deep scratches, and nightmares that last for weeks. Many believe the entity is still there, silent, watching, waiting. Because if you ever hear a child crying inside that house, begging for help, calling your name, do not answer. Because in the Sally house of Atchison, Kansas, the thing pretending to be a little girl, at exactly midnight, something unseen whispered from the darkness, not a scream, not a growl, a voice, calm, deliberate, and terrifyingly human. I am the spirit that haunts the Bell family. What followed would become one of the most documented paranormal cases in American history. A case so real that even future President Andrew Jackson fled in fear. This is the story of the Bell Witch of Adams, Tennessee. In the early 1800s, the Bell family lived a quiet life on their farm near the Red River. John Bell, his wife Lucy, and their children had no reason to believe evil was watching them. Until strange things began to happen. At first, it was small. Rats chewing through walls, knocking sounds in the night, beds shaking violently, as if something invisible was jumping on them. Then the voice arrived, a disembodied voice that spoke clearly. It knew names, it knew secrets, it knew sins. The entity claimed to be Kate Batts, a woman who had once argued with John Bell over land. She said she had returned for revenge, and she meant it. The Bell Witch didn't just haunt the house, it attacked. Lucy Bell was slapped, pinched, and beaten by unseen hands. The children were scratched, dragged, and choked, their hair pulled violently as they slept. But John Bell suffered the most. He became weak, his face twisted in pain. He complained of a burning sensation in his throat, as if something was poisoning him. Slowly, the witch laughed. It mocked prayers, quoted scripture backwards, sang hymns in a distorted voice. When neighbors gathered to witness the events, the witch performed, speaking to some, ignoring others, proving it was intelligent, aware, and cruel. Word spread quickly. One night, Andrew Jackson arrived with a group of men to investigate the haunting. As his wagon approached the Bell farm, it suddenly stopped. The horses screamed, but could not move. Then the voice spoke. "All right, General, let the wagon move. I'll see you again tonight." Terrified, Jackson reportedly said he would rather fight the British again than face the Bell Witch. He left before sunrise. In 1820, John Bell was found unconscious. A mysterious vial appeared near his bed. The witch proudly claimed it was poison and admitted to killing him. John Bell died shortly after. On the night of his burial, the witch sang joyfully, celebrating his death. After that, the entity announced it would leave. It promised to return after 7 years. And according to legend, it did. Even today, the Bell Witch Cave still exists in Adams, Tennessee. Visitors report hearing voices, being touched, seeing shadows move on their own. Some say the witch never left. It's still there, watching, listening. And if you ever hear a calm voice whisper your name in the dark, do not respond. Because the Bell Witch doesn't need permission. It already knows. At exactly 9 p.m., The lighthouse keeper heard footsteps, running, circling, laughing. But when he turned around, the stairs were empty. Then, from deep inside the tower, a child's voice whispered, "Come play it with us." This is not a legend meant to scare tourists. This is one of the most haunted lighthouses in America. This is the story of the St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida. Built in the late 1800s, the lighthouse was meant to guide ships safely to shore. Tall, silent, watching the ocean day and night. But from the very beginning, death followed the light. The darkest tragedy occurred during construction. 3 young girls, the daughters of a lighthouse worker, were playing near a supply cart at the base of the tower. Suddenly, the cart broke loose. It rolled violently toward the water and plunged into the sea. The girls were trapped inside. They drowned, one by one, as their family watched, unable to save them. Their names were never forgotten, and neither were their spirits. Soon after, strange things began to happen. Workers reported hearing children laughing, footsteps running up the spiral staircase, and small hands tugging at their clothes. When they followed the sounds, no one was there. Years later, another death added to the haunting. A lighthouse keeper fell from the tower, plunging to his death. Since then, his presence has also been felt. Witnesses describe a shadowy figure standing near the top, watching silently before vanishing. Paranormal investigators have recorded chilling evidence. EVPs captured voices of young girls responding intelligently when asked questions. One voice clearly says, "I'm not afraid." Others whisper, "Play with me." Visitors report feeling small hands grabbing theirs, sudden cold spots, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Some see full apparitions, little girls wearing old-fashioned dresses, running up the stairs, only to disappear. Others see a man standing near the lantern room, staring out at the ocean, as if still on duty. Even skeptics leave shaken, cameras malfunction, flashlights turn on and off, doors slam shut on their own. The lighthouse never rests. The spirits don't scream, they don't chase, they wait, they invite. And if you ever climb the St. Augustine Lighthouse and hear children laughing behind you, do not turn around, because some say the girls are still playing and they're looking for someone new to join them in the dark.